Hi, how are you? I'm the Fawn. Welcome one more week to this, your favorite opinion space, the Fawn's Weekly. Last week we talked about the co-set and the warnings about charges that were going to be requested for holding tournaments, seminars, and trainings of all kinds. We also mentioned it, the Federados Club is a club where you pay to register, then keep paying for every event they hold, including the tournaments of a ranking that is not updated and reset when they want. Private events such as seminars and dual meets, and don't be surprised if they soon start to charge for the right of floor for each window or student you have. And don't be surprised if there are fools who pay for it within the price list, as if it were a restaurant menu, because these arrive fast and without warning, but it's not a formality for an eagle, because then they do become jerks. They give it to you until the end, or when the event you were interested in has already passed. Anyway, we were on the topic of the price list. The state selection is worth 0 pesos. This is obvious because the state selections are usually only during ADE games and it's outside their jurisdiction. In any other circumstance, the association organizes and they don't charge the prostitutes. Though nobody mentioned a state pre-selection like they did in Veracruz, because there are some association presidents who are starving in addition to being prostitutes, right or wrong. The endorsement for a regional or national tournament will cost you 6,000 pesos, half for the association and half for the federation, the same as a state or national seminar or training. The word endorsement means guarantee. This means that if an entity like the Mexican Federation endorses an event, there should be a minimum quality in it. And by quality, I don't mean competitive level. I'm talking about a minimum quality for the event itself, safety, marking, optimal parameters for the development of the event and competitors, and no such thing exists. They're so dumb they confuse the word endorsement with fee, and when you pay a fee, it's just to authorize a permit because it's expected they don't even know how to speak Spanish. But the serious thing is not that they don't know, but that those who pay apparently don't know either. I leave that to you. Now, if your tournament or seminar is international, although there are no established parameters to know when it is considered as such, because a seminar of 100 Mexicans with a foreign instructor is not the same as one of 100 foreigners with a Mexican instructor, or maybe it is, only they know, and that's screwed up. Well, here they sink their teeth into you, but shamelessly, 15,000 pesos. 5 for the state association, and 10 for the guy who works as the head of FEMEX. If you organize a G event, we've already agreed that those letters would be borrowed from WT, because it's too much to ask them to pick one of the 26 remaining letters of the alphabet, and we've agreed that they don't speak Spanish. In fact, ask any authority someday what the G stands for in ranking events. I'll bet you an egg that they have no clue. Well, if you organize one of those ranking events that doesn't get updated and gets casually deleted, you have to pay out 10,000 pesos. 2 for the state and 8 for the federation, which seems nonsensical to me because I've never heard of an individual organizing an event of this kind. It's either the states or the federation itself. But hey, if anyone is interested, that's the cost. I suppose the organizer keeps all of the registration fees, right? Right? Now, speaking of individuals, if you organize an internal tournament or a seminar, also internal, you still have to pay 6,000 pesos. So, unless your school is massive and I can afford it, it's exactly the same to do an internal event as it is to do a national one. In case you had any doubts if there was any logic behind these prices, well, no, it's another improvisation like the usual antics of these folks, and apparently they just pulled the figures out of their butts because they don't make any sense. Especially with the higher prices, it's a complete and utter nonsense. For example, in a few months we're going to have the Junior Cadet and Children's Pan American Championships in Querétaro. Now that's an international event. Do you really think that an entity like Patu is going to pay the local MNA to do the event? They don't even need them. Or a big fat zero. The federation should be the body that's in charge of paving the way for athletes to grow, not only at the high performance level, but at all levels. Mexican Taekwondo is what it is because of the weekend tournaments, those events that are held everywhere and which are very varied, each with its own idiosyncrasy, are an essential part of the identity of Mexican Taekwondistas. But that's not all. They also represent a very important pillar and a key piece in the teaching of this sport martial art way of life. I don't think there's a teacher in the country who doesn't go to tournaments. Even those who don't teach the sports aspect as the cornerstone of their style go to tournaments. Because tournaments, this type of tournament that they want to charge you a floor fee for, are not only designed for people who want to dedicate themselves to competing. In a philosophical and deeper sense, as a martial art, having an opponent is facing yourself helps you better yourself and face your fears, your emotions, and so on. But if these jerks can't understand the language they themselves speak, it's too much to expect them to understand these concepts. Just based on what I've listed, it should be illegal to charge a fee for organizing a tournament without giving anything in return. And it is actually, it's called extortion. And in Mexico, it is punishable by 5 to 10 years in prison. So, esteemed professor, if you are sanctioned, threatened, or simply singled out for not paying a fee to hold your event, report it, because what the Mexican Federation intends to do by charging for an event is not an endorsement, it's a fee, and that's prohibited by law, especially in the way the Federation does it. And although reporting it is important and all, the most important thing is not to pay them. Because by doing so, they are not only encouraging malpractice, but also being complicit in a crime. And what's more, I would be happy to report any accomplices I find. But that's it. Seriously. Please do things right. I pray every night to different gods that our community of teachers and administrators will finally get their act together. You liked me. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on the video, turning on notifications, and of course, telling a friend to share our content. But if you also want to support us in a more tangible way, I invite you to check out the channel's memberships or visit the online store.